guys. Welcome back to Tradition with a Twist. I am
Welcome,
Tracy.
welcome. I'm Nicole.
And today we are going to continue our journey with Detective Lois Tryon as we talk about Grotesquerie episode 5 entitled Red Haze. I guess we're going to jump right into things.
Yeah, this episode is interesting because it's, one, I didn't even realize how short the episode was because it feels like there's so much that happens in this episode. So we pick up right where we left off with the last one. So we have the bloody lady in the car.
Yeah.
She does let us know that her name is Andrea.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, like, what happened to you? And she's like, oh, well, I was just hit. It was an accident. But, I need to clean up. There's this motel up ahead. Let's stop there. And then, you guys should stay here also. This is like a very safe place. You should stay here for the night anyway.
Yeah. While the fires are going, it's a nice respite.
Yeah.
In that moment, in my mind, I said, Lois, what kind of detective are you? This lady is covered head to toe, bloody. And she just said she got hit. What?
Yeah.
That don't make sense. But okay, whatever.
Yeah.
So they get to the little motel, and there's a lot happening at the motel in general, right? So, the Andrea runs off to go get cleaned up. Lois and our favorite Sister Megan, they go and they get a room. Lois pays cash. Yeah. Which was interesting.
It was crazy, yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
We're sitting here like, what?
Right,
what
cash.
Hotel takes cash only?
Where they do that at?
Do they do that still maybe in small towns?
Maybe.
I don't know, because everywhere I feel like it's been, got to have that card on file.
But, this is the fever dream. But anyway, so they're going, she's getting all checked in, and Lois notices as she's getting checked in that the check-in girl appears to be a victim of abuse because she has some discoloration around her eye. And we hear about a gentleman named Nick who's supposedly at the motel as well, but supposed to be a good guy, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Because he's their everything guy. Everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, Lois gets all checked in, but the detective in her, I guess, tries to kick into high gear. I don't know. And she goes, hey, you might want to put a little red next to that before you put the concealer on and cover the green. And the girl's like, what are you talking about? I don't have any idea what you mean. And Lois is like, all right, girl, whatever. You want to play this game? I can't help you if you don't want to help yourself. So I'm going to just let you go on. Fine. She gets the keys, goes out, meets our sister.
Yeah. I think something of note was the fact that they talk about the pool, because the pool is purple, and they're like, oh, well, she's like, that happens because it's from the fires, the ash, and anything
mixed
that
with
has
the chlorine.
Yeah, and the ash has copper in it, so anytime it touches something that has chlorine, it turns it purple. But don't go in there because it also makes it acidic.
Right.
Okay.
Something good to know. Exactly.
Yeah. Also, I thought of noteworthy was the fact that they make their own souvenirs, and it's the actual snow globe that we've seen from previous.
The gas station before.
Yeah.
And again, it's that Last Supper scene. So it's just playing over again in this particular episode. But, they come outside, and our favorite sister is really concerned about Andrea and like, oh my God, we shouldn't have let her go off on her own. We shouldn't have let her. So they go to the bathroom where supposedly she's supposed to be. She ain't there. But
they just
all
see
these bloody remnants of her trying to clean herself off. And somehow the bathroom opens to a back door. And
it opens into a room. It opens into another room, which was interesting because it's a public bathroom that opened into a private hotel room.
Where these two young children are sitting watching TV, and you can see like these bloody footprints on the floor, and then behind them is a clothesline, and you see a handprint. So Lois goes through the room like, so y'all just let a bloody woman, huh? Y'all just let her run through there, nobody see nothing, say nothing. That's what we gonna do. All right. Mm-hmm. And there's no Andrea. Andrea has seemingly disappeared. Yeah. And our sister is concerned, and Lois is like, listen, what we gonna do? Can't do nothing. Let's go ahead and get unpacked and get ourselves together.
I was a bar back in Amarillo. Mm-hmm. me talk to you for a second. Listen, just a little tip. Next time, put some lipstick on that before you put the concealer. The red neutralizes the green.
What green?
Somebody did that to you? A man, a boyfriend, Nick?
Nick? No, he's okay. I mean, he's Nick, but he's not a bad guy.
Okay, is he here? Are you afraid? I mean, we can protect you. I can get you somewhere.
Don't concern yourself. Not any concern of yours, is it? I'm fine. It's fine, really.
This girl in here is being beaten too. She was using makeup to cover up a black eye. We got 2 abused women running around here.
Let's find Andrea. Did you tell her you're a cop?
No, there's only so much you can do. I mean, you can't force people to leave. I've seen it so many times in my career, you know?
Andrea, you okay?
The women that stay end up dead.
I'm coming in, okay?
You cannot get involved unless they ask for help. That's a fact.
Yeah. I think another noteworthy point is the fact that, Lois says that I can't get involved unless they ask. Mm-hmm. So a lot of it is about, what I'm feeling is, you can't actually help someone until they want to be helped.
That accountability, right?
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, just like in addiction,
yes.
right? 7 steps or 12 steps. You first got to admit to yourself you got a problem.
Yeah.
So,
But Lois is also, staying on the same vein of addiction, she said, since when has anyone ever been able to convince someone to give up their vices? So it's, again, this whole, you have to be willing. You have to ask for the assistance.
And, so, Lois actually firmly believes that because that's the second time we've heard her made that statement. And, Lois and sister... Our sister is really, really having some feelings, and she's been doing a lot of praying to comfort herself, and that doesn't go really well with Lois. Lois is like, girl, what are you doing? Stop writing letters to Santa. Yeah. Like, come on.
Yeah, she asked Lois to join her as well, and Lois is like, no, I'm good. I'm over here. I need to get to a phone, which is also, I don't know. I think it's curious that the TV that's playing, every channel that she's flipping through, it's all doom and gloom and everything's negative. And then she's like, you know what? Now I got to get to a phone. I need to make some phone calls. So it's just, I don't know. It feels very, very shaky.
And y'all would never guess who she calls on her cell phone. How's she gonna call Nurse Red? She called Nurse Red. She says Red.
But she doesn't get through on her phone.
On her cell phone, she does initially. For a brief moment, she does initially.
Yeah.
And she's talking to Nurse Red, y'all. And what's interesting, so our sister is like, at the same time, we need to go check on Andrea. Lois is like, whatever. I gotta handle what I gotta handle. She's a whatever. And sister's like, I feel like we need to check on her. So sister goes outside. Lois is on the phone. And before she loses reception with her phone, that is when we hear her say, Nurse Red say, what do you mean she's not getting better? She's not getting better. She's not getting better.
I thought it was you're not getting any
better.
better.
What do you mean I'm not getting better?
Yeah, sorry. You're not getting any better.
What do you mean I'm not getting any better? Lois is like, so Sister Red, sorry. They all confusing to me. So Nurse Red is like, you're not getting any better. And Lois is like, what do you mean I'm not getting any better?
Wait, what do you mean I'm not getting better?
Lois,
hello?
We have to get out of here. Nick is drowning.
So then the phone call drops. Of course it would. It's a fever dream. You know how I feel if you've watched us. So now we've got Lois trying to find a phone. And she goes back inside and to the motel check-in, and she's like, I need a phone. We went from mobile phone to old school touch tone phone.
Yeah.
Very strange. And she's trying to call back to Nurse Red. Our girl at the check-in is there looking beat up even further. Is it? She's looking beat up further?
Because she actually... who we believe to be Nick is kind of just like abusing her, and he's like drowning her in the pool. And that's when, because Sister Megan like runs out at the same time when Lois goes to get the phone. Sister Megan runs out and she's like, I don't you hear something? Something's happening. And then there's a car crash, And then she turns around and she sees Nick drowning this
poor
girl.
girl in the acidic purple pool.
Yes. And then at that point, then we kind of get back to Lois, and she's like, that's when we see her, and she's more bruised up and bloodied up.
Whatever. But it's still like, no, everything's fine. Even after all of this happened, everything's fine.
Yeah.
Everything's fine. And Lois is just like, you know what? I can't even. But our sister at this point, you know, she's the one who's like, we must help. And Lois keeps saying, there's nothing we can do.
No.
Again, it looks like more violence ensues because they go back to the room.
No, they don't at first, because when as Lois is trying to make this phone call, and she's actually paying attention to the snow globe, and she looks at the snow globe, and all of a sudden the snow globe is shot.
Yes.
And then, so now she's like running through because all these shots are ringing out. So she's running through, trying not to get shot, gets back to the room with Sister Megan, and she's like, in the bathroom, let's go, grab that ammo over there, let's go. And they try to, you know, kind of come up with a plan in the bathroom of, well, okay, what are we going to do? Yeah.
And Sister Megan is like, we have to go help Andrea. And Lois is like, well, we need to come up with a plan that won't leave us exposed.
Yes.
But Sister Megan runs out the room.
Yeah. Well, she does, because like Lois is like, okay, well, let's wait until it gets dark, and then we'll go ahead.
Hunting us. Please stop praying. Do you feel that energy? I felt it around me all day. Do you feel it?
Yes, I felt something. Why do you think I've been praying so much?
We gotta get out of here. Okay. We will wait until it's dark, and then we'll make a move.
Your healing hands, for I believe it is your will for Lois to be well in mind, body, soul, and spirit. Cover us with the most precious blood of your son.
It's enough bloody people running around here.
But then you hear screaming outside, and from the screaming, then Sister Megan darts outside, and then Lois runs up after her, and she's like, whoa, hold up. Okay, now, look, all right, fine. You stay behind me.
Yeah.
Let me go out here. Let's see what's going on, but stay behind me. And then, so then we see
A standoff.
Nick
like
with the clerk.
Yes.
Who is unclear what her name is. Like, is she, because she kind of
I
referenced
believe
to as
that
Andrea as well.
She is named Andrea also.
So we have multiple Andreas.
And then we also have our original bloody girl who's still bloody after trying to clean herself off, and it still,
she's less bloody,
but
she's
still,
less bloody. Yeah.
I would think she'd be even cleaner, but you know, still there. So now we've got supposedly these two Andreas, but we know they're two women.
Yeah.
With this stand down with Nick and Lois with the weapon.
Yeah.
And our Sister Megan is like, we have to help. We have to do something. Lois is like, there's nothing we can do. Well, suddenly a van comes through.
Well, because they're going back and forth in the standoff, and she's like, you know, hey, she's trying to get the bloodier Andrea to come over. Yes. And she's like, hey, you know, come over to me. And Nick's like, all like, you know, I don't trust none of you biatches.
There you go. Yeah.
And then, you know, so as they're trying to work through this standoff, all of a sudden this truck comes and speeds around and it's a pickup truck. It's like was it a pickup truck? I don't know.
Minivan. I don't know.
Okay.
But
I just have it as a truck. I have a truck. A truck pulled up.
It comes through and this guy in all black gets out. Well, I think it's a guy. It looks shaped
He's
like
very,
a man.
it's kind of,
but it could
the
be,
person's in shadow.
There you go.
You know,
So,
like covered head to toe. You can't see anything.
And this person proceeds to throw our bloody Andrea over his shoulder, their shoulder, and go towards. Now there are shots ringing out at this time.
Yeah, because both Nick and Lois are firing at this guy,
and nothing is penetrating this individual.
Yeah,
this individual seems to be impervious to the shots ringing.
Yeah.
And our sister at one point runs out towards the man in black that has Andrea over the shoulder. And of course, a shot rings out. Sister gets caught in the crossfire.
Not even caught in the crossfire. The shadow man shoots her.
Well,
he pulls out a gun. And he shoots, and she is hit.
That is true, because it's chest. It's a chest shot, and she was chasing. She was facing him.
Yeah.
And you don't see it like travel through or anything. You just see that it's a chest shot.
Stay in your car.
Don't you move.
Yeah, he hit her in the front. He shot her. He's the one who shot her.
And then, so everything else kind of disseminates. Lois comes out to our sister. Man drives off. Everybody else seems to just go about their business behind us because we don't really know what's happening. We see Lois with the sister, and sister is like, pray with me. And Lois is like, hold on. And she's like, pray with me. And this whole time she's been asking Lois to pray with her, and Lois is like, no.
And she's like, okay,
she's
you
like,
just,
all right.
you're trying to get your way. You're just using anything to get your way. All right, fine, let's pray.
Let's pray. And so that scene ends. And of course, the next thing you know,
yeah, because we're in the ambulance with Sister Megan trying to get her to the hospital. It's very interesting because you only see glimpses.
Yes.
You know, like if you were literally the person experiencing the trauma, you know, you get glimpses of this person who's helping you. And so it's just interesting. And we have Lois like, oh, it's going to be okay. And now we're in the hospital. And so she's at least stable.
Right.
And Lois is sitting by her bedside.
Yeah. And who darkens the door to the hospital? I would never have imagined.
Yes.
Good old Father Mayhew, a.k.a. Father Freak Daddy, makes a special appearance at the hospital for our favorite sister.
Yes.
And he walks over to I thought it was funny because he's talking to Lois like, what was she even doing there?
It is, but it's also interesting how Lois actually started the conversation with him because he's in the hallway and she's like, in or out.
Right.
We don't do hovering around here. What's your decision? Are you in? Are you out? And so, you know, now he's slowly making his way in, sitting down and telling some stories about...
It's funny, before he sits down, Lois has there's some flowers for Sister Megan, right? In the vase in the room, and they're supposedly carnations. He walks in with a bouquet of flowers. He proceeds. He's like, who brought these? These carnations would depress her. She doesn't like them. Takes them out the vase, throws them in the garbage. Is like, nope, I brought her these wildflowers that we used to see when we would go walking together on these treks. What?
Yep.
Father Freak Daddy, how long y'all been like when all this happened?
Man.
But okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But he does begin to, you know, as he's having this conversation with Lois, he begins to kind of to blame her a little bit. Like, well, why was she even with you?
Right.
And you know, and she's like, well, hold up. You know, you wanted her on
the case.
On the murders
right.
and things like this, you know, upping
followers. Upping the butts in the seats.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, you know, what do you mean? Why was she there? Like, you wanted her there, right?
Yeah.
First-hand story information.
Yeah. And then he decides to switch it. Well, you know, it seems like, you know, you're being followed and you're being hunted. And you know what? You used Sister Megan as bait, didn't you? You know, you just like to use people. That's just what you do. And you don't know her. You don't know who's lying in this bed.
You don't know who's lying in this bed.
Don't hover in the doorway, in or out.
Who gave her carnations? These, depress her.
How are you doing, Father?
What are they saying?
They do not want to set up false hope.
What are doing out there with you?
Covering murders, that was your brilliant idea, right? Kind of like the Catholic National Goddamn Inquirer, right?
Do you have any idea who shot her? They were following you. Hey. You were hunted.
Yes.
You used her for bait. Wingman and bait. Excuse me.
Do you think this is easy?
God, you fucking use people. And you have no idea who this is. You have no idea who's lying in this bed.
I feel like that was another little clue there.
I think so. And it was interesting because, again, there are these parties or these persons that you would never expect. They are reading Lois the Riot Act. Like, I felt like that would have been a conversation Red would have had with Lois.
Yeah.
Because it's very aggressive and very much like, girl, you ain't nothing. Do you realize you a failure? Because you are. Like, stop it. And so, that was interesting. And again, cut scenes, because that's what we get a lot of. We don't get a lot of continuation.
Then she walks into the hallway.
But I mean, after that, like, we don't get more continuation because the next scene we have of her, isn't she on the floor at home? Knocked out drunk.
No, because the captain shows up to outside of the hospital room, and she's having this conversation with the captain, like, what's going on, and who's hunting me, and she's like, well, here's your top 10 cases of people who might be after you. I'll give you two or three free guesses or something like that. And she names through a couple, and they're like, no. Yeah. And she's like, well, the last one is like Glorious whatever, but she's in jail for life. And she's like, actually, she got out about 2 months ago. And Lois is freaking out. She's like, why wouldn't you tell me that? That lines up with everything that's happening. Yeah. Like, what's going on? Like, how did she get out? After everything that she did, she shouldn't have been able to.
Right.
Yeah. So now, after that, we cut scene.
Okay.
To Lois being on the floor.
On the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, she's on the floor in her bedroom. Y'all know, if you've been with us long enough, she's passed out drunk, because you see the bottle and you see the glass. Yes. And of course, ring, ring, ring. The phone rings. And it wakes her up. As soon as this phone rings and wakes her up, we are about to be introduced to Murder 6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is at the maternity center at St. Agnes Church, so it's for women who are trying to decide, if they want to give their children up for adoption. Mm-hmm. It's a place for them to be comfortable and decide.
And so we get there, and of course, again, the scenes depicts men as weak. The men are still vomiting at the sight of the scene. And Lois walks in, and unfortunately, none of the mothers have survived. There are like three mothers whose babies have all been removed. And it is grotesque.
It is an ad hoc C-section,
right?
With these women who are still open. Yes,
right. Yes. Still open and interesting. So we, it leads you to believe whoever took the babies survived. But they make a point to say all of these mothers could have lived. If all he had to do was stitch them back up. And they would have survived. Instead, because of the grotesque manner in which he left them, they all passed from shock and blood loss. And I was like, that has to be horrific. That had to, for the first person for it to happen to, then 2 and 3 to have to watch 1 and 2.
I don't even know.
Unless there were multiple people.
I was going to say, maybe he wasn't in it on his own. I don't know.
Because again, I was like, I don't think anesthesia was involved. This doesn't look like a graceful person. I don't know if it was anesthesia.
Because, they didn't look like they were, contorted in pain. So I feel like there was some kind of,
something a sedative or something. Them. I don't know. Baby oil. Yeah. I don't know. Something, y'all. I don't know. But anyway. So, Lois comes in and she's just like, oh, wow. And in this moment, she meets Jack, who's always there with her at the crime scene. But Jack tells her, listen, at this point, the FBI has taken over.
The governor
wants the FBI involved. He was like, I don't even expect... Yeah. He's like, I don't even expect to keep my job, and I expect you to be forced to retire. Yeah. So, you know what, Lois? This is where we should call it. Yeah. And Lois is like, no, this person is hunting me. Yeah. I need the details. So if we're gonna go out, let us go out in a blaze of glory and get the information necessary, because ultimately this is very personal. And I need to know what's happening. I need to solve this case.
Yeah. And as that scene leaves, she kind of quotes the message that Grotesquerie has left her on the wall from essentially a piece of Matthew 8. And it's, follow me, Detective Tryon, and let the dead bury the dead. And so as, she's getting this information about, possibly being forced to retire, and she's like, you know what? No, we aren't there yet.
Nope.
We're still in the game. So you know what? We're going to move forward, and we're going to let the dead bury the dead.
There you go.
And then all of a sudden she has another phone call.
Yeah.
And they're like, from somebody who's found something. So we cut scene change again.
Yep. And Lois is on the road, and she gets to this house. And when she gets to the house, there's an officer there, Officer Franklin.
Mm-hmm.
And Officer Franklin is there, and he is handling 3 children, 2 young boys and a older girl, basically, whose mom can't be found. She was taken. And Officer Franklin's doing a great job with the kids. Lois acknowledges that. And he stays with the 2 boys, and Lois goes over to the oldest girl. And she says, she's basically like, so I heard someone came and took mom. Well, actually, she grabs some M&Ms and is like, hey, so let's have some of these M&Ms. And the little girl's like, no, mommy wouldn't
Those
like
aren't
that.
for
Those
us.
aren't for
that
us.
Would make mommy mad.
That would make mommy mad. And so Lois, starts to talk to her and is like, so, I heard someone came and took mommy or something along those lines. And the little girl is like, yeah. And then somehow, how does she get to...
Because she's like, well, and my job is to get mommy back to you, and we're going to do it as quick as possible. And then the little girl is like, and Clancy? And she's like, well who's Clancy? So the little girl, like, points... Originally, I thought she was just pointing to, like, the emblem, the little design on her
outfit. But...
on her... Yeah, overalls.
We were both wrong.
Yeah, no. Apparently Lois figured it out. And she's like, a baby? Like, so mommy has a baby in her stomach? And she's like, okay, all right, yep. So we're going to get your mommy and Clancy back as soon as possible. And she also tries to start asking the girl about, like, well, what does this guy look like? And the little girl just starts crying. She's like, okay.
She's like, nope, all right.
No, don't worry about it. It's okay. So now she's going over and she's trying to, she talks a little bit with Franklin, and she's like, you saw stuff. You know what? I could use you.
Yeah.
And then just kind of after you kind of have a little bit of this rapport building between Lois and Franklin,
yes.
Now we again cut, and she's leaving the scene, and she's driving down the road, and all of a sudden, we're seeing again like cars, like just cars stopped in the road. Just like really random things.
And Lois ends up when she's there, she sees this. She ends up stopping.
Because there's a fully stopped car, doors open, like in front of or near some kind of orange grove.
Yeah.
So she stops and she gets out to try and investigate.
And when you look inside the car, you see some bloody items, I would say.
Yeah, I would say like the whole passenger seat is all bloody, and
everything, and and Lois is walking, and then you hear crying, right?
Yeah.
Crying of a woman. You hear a woman crying.
Mm-hmm.
So Lois walks towards the crying sound, and she finds what appears to be an older woman holding a baby wrapped in a newspaper. The baby is you can tell newborn because he's covered
still in afterbirth
and everything.
Yeah.
And the lady has this very weird expression on her face, and
she's like crying and like, panting also, and like
and
almost
he's coming,
eyes rolling,
and he's
yeah.
coming again. We're back with this. He's coming, and
he's gonna kill me. He's coming.
Yes, he's coming.
Is the baby breathing?
Please, ma'am, you gotta get us to a hospital.
Okay, I will make sure you both get to a hospital, okay?
He's
Shh, calm down. Here, give me the baby. Come on, give me the baby. Give me the baby.
He's coming. He's coming. He's coming. He's coming. He's coming.
And then that's pretty much how the scene ends.
Yeah, that's how the episode just ends with after
you
we
find
end on the orange grove.
In the orange grove with the baby wrapped in
the Catholic Guardian newspaper. We did have to zoom in a little bit. We were like,
because
this is curious.
Newspaper.
Yeah. But wrapped in the Catholic Guardian newspaper.
Yeah.
And we just end right there.
And so that was our episode 5, Red Haze of Grotesquerie. I'm still captivated.
Yes.
I'm still captivated. I do still think it's a fever dream.
Yes.
And I am looking for some clarification.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we just keep getting more and more information, and that's not necessarily any clarification. So,
yeah.
With the cutscenes, I still don't think this is real. I still don't. I don't know.
Well, yeah, no. I mean, I've agreed with you that it's not real, but it's just for me, I'm like, I don't know if she's in the coma or if this is like trauma and she's being worked on.
Exactly.
Like, so I don't know, but I don't believe it's reality what we're seeing right now. So we'll see what happens.
But, we shall. Thank you guys so much for, joining us on this ride with Lois. We are tradition with a twist, so we have to end with our twist. And let's see what we're going to do today.
I'm liking an angel number today.
Okay.
I think we need.
Yeah. So we're gonna ask Spirit to give us an angel number for the collective and not have us channel the show that we just talked about.
That is.
So whatever the collective needs, let there be a message for them.
All right.
Are you looking at what I'm looking at?
I don't know.
I'm looking at this one.
Okay.
So number 609, adapt. It may be difficult, but it's not undoable. You are more adaptable than you realize. Your angels show you that your current circumstances may be challenging, but they are not impossible. Take small steps each day to adapt to this new normal. Difficulty doesn't mean impossible. We are all adapting to different things. Difficulty doesn't mean impossible.
Yes.
And sometimes those challenges are put in place to help us shift our perspective and shift our operation. So however or whatever you're going through, it is possible. Don't give up hope and make the small changes necessary each day to help you get to the next place.
Yeah.
I'm Tracy.
I'm Nicole.
And thank you guys so much for joining us. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment. Please, if you're watching this show, if we have said anything that you have questions about, please put a comment below, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.